Welcome back. And we're moving now into our first segment for the morning. And like we mentioned, we've got 4 wonderful segments lined up for you. As a matter of fact, we'll be kicking things off with UDP candidate for Belmopan, the Garden City. Now, we know how things are in Belmopan. We know that there are 3 persons vying for that particular seat or candidacy there in the Garden City, Belmopan, and the 3 strong candidates as well. Now, in to tell us, or in to do his campaign to try to get you to jump on the train is none other than Colonel George Lovell, who is an aspiring candidate for the UDP seat there in Belmopan within the UDP. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
And welcome.
Good morning, Jan. Good morning, April. I am very pleased to be here this morning to have this conversation on my candidacy.
I've got to say, your vibrancy, like it.
I love your
outfit.
Wow!
Yes.
Thank you.
It's so nice to have you in. It's so nice to have you in. But let's talk about yourself, Colonel George Lovell, whereby we know you as a CEO. Mm-hmm. We know you as somebody who has been leading, within a ministry. But people might not know you as a politician. And why would you want to put your candidacy in there? Let's talk about you so we get to know you first.
John, everyone looked at me and said, what happened? How comes you jump into this mess, they would say. And I look at them and I say, man, can't you see what's happening around us? Mm-hmm. We can't allow our country to continue to go down this route that it's going, especially not Belmopan.
Yeah.
You know, and there are a number of things that actually cause me to decide I just cannot just sit on the fence and criticize everything that is happening. Yeah. Know that I have all this energy, all this experience, all this time to contribute to the development of my community, and don't do anything about it. And so I had to get involved. Mm-hmm. I was compelled to get involved. As a matter of fact, I have young children. Mm-hmm. As white as the beard may appear and everything else, there are young Lovells who are there, who lives in Belmopan and who have vested interest there. Mm-hmm. And I cannot sit by idly and see the kind of degradation of our society, especially as it relates to security, an area that I am very much qualified to deal with. Mm-hmm. And so I had to get involved. The other thing is, people said, well, why the UDP? We need to have a viable opposition in order to strike a balance within our governance system. Mm-hmm. We can't just have a strong government and a very weak opposition. Mm-hmm. We need to have good people in there so that we can have that balance, so that the people at the end of the day can get the kind of leadership within their within Belize and within Belmopan, especially as we go forward. And that's the reason why I have decided to join the UDP.
What separates you from the other aspiring candidates that are running? What makes George Lovell stand out? Yeah.
First of all, George Lovell has over 41 plus years of service to the government and people of Belize, and has been in a number of different areas. I started off initially at NEMO in 1979, and I was a colonel when I retired from the Belize Defense Force. I joined the Belize Defense Force in 1984, rose to the rank of colonel, retired in 2005. Wow. I was at the National Emergency Management Organization, NEMO. I was the head of NEMO up until 2008. In 2008, I became CEO in the Ministry of Public Utilities, Communication and National Emergency Management. In 2010, when we had a gang problem in Belize, they brought in Senator Doug Singh to lead that ministry. I was made the CEO for that Ministry of Police and Public Safety. In 2012, when the government took a second term in office, I was the CEO for National Security, and it goes on and on and on,
so
up until...
needless to say, you have tons of experience in these fields.
2020, when I retired.
Yeah.
But it is not just the experience that separates me from the others. If you look at my history, my record, you will see, and I hate to do this because it would seem as if though I am blowing my own whistle. But I guess that's probably what I have to do.
Campaigns are, right?
Campaigns are a part of politics.
Yes, Indeed. And when you look at what caused the UDP to be where they are in 2020 when we went to the polls, it is because of people have lost trust in them. They thought that there was a perception of them being corrupt. May be real or otherwise, but the perception was there. So who it is to turn that whole perception around in the party, you need to have something that is quite opposite to that, or someone who represents something that is opposite to that, and that's what separates me from the others.
Yeah. But let me throw this out. Well-rounded, and most know, but by the older folks, or those who that how much percent of this country are youth? The youth population of this country.
In Belmopan, 72.2% is below the age of 35.
So there we go. So these are the people that you'll need to have the buy into.
Yes.
How do you tend to get this, knowing that you've got these strong guys who are actually running against you, and then you've got the juggernaut of John Saldiva? How do you do this?
Listen, age for me is just a figure.
You say you're a young picnic.
To start with.
Yes.
I actually get out there every Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I'm on my bike with the young ones, doing 30, 40, 50 miles, whichever amount of miles they need. So there's nothing that George Lovell...
Don't make the white beard fool you.
Don't let those white beards fool you. I can tell you that I have more energy than any of my competitors. And you could put us to the test if that's what you want. But that's not about them. It's not about... There are a number of issues that I would like for us to look at, because at the end of the day, it is the issues.
Yeah.
I think I have had sufficient time for people to know exactly who George Lovell is within the Belmopan constituents. And they're the ones that I really need to appeal to.
Yeah.
The young people, they are the ones that are dear to my heart. And they are dear to my heart because they are, as you rightly mentioned, those are the majority within our small population. 72.2%, when you look at the statistics, the data that the Statistical Institute has, in 2010 data, and I crunched the numbers and everything else. We have about, at this time, around 2020, just over 22,665 population
in Belmopan.
Yeah.
And 72.2% of those are below the age of 35.
Which is youth.
Yeah.
So we are, and I believe you're over 35, are you?
I'm not.
You are not. But I am.
I am.
And I guess you are.
I am.
John, we are the minority. But there are several things that we need to address. And this is just one of the issues that the people and I will have to look at and see how best we can move forward. We will have some youth in my team after the 6th of February, when I am the standard bearer going forward. We will have a youth branch in all these 7 areas who will help to guide George Lovell, because it's not going to be a George Lovell show alone. So the youth will not be left out. As a matter of fact, they are a very integral part of the kind of structure that I will have going forward. I can tell you that what I intend to do is to have a relationship with the residents and people of Belmopan. That relationship is one that will start not when I get in office, but the moment I am made standard bearer on the 6th of, well, it will be on the 5th, when we have the convention. But on the 6th, the Monday, I start hitting the ground running, putting together my team, having that relationship with the people. I will be in and out of their homes. The ones that I haven't had an opportunity to get in, we'll have a lot of conversation. We will look at the issues, and I have a lot of ideas. I can tell you, security being one, the young population who doesn't have the kind of opportunity that they need to go forward. All those spaces, those green spaces that we're not utilizing, that we need to utilize. Those are ideas that I have, but it's not just George Lovell's ideas. It's ideas that will be pushed out there, and I will have to then listen to what the people really want, because I can't come thinking that you want a big stadium when all you wanted was just a football field.
Yeah.
So,
but I hear you there. I hear you there. But it sounds like you're campaigning for general elections. You still need to try and gain the trust and the vote of the delegates of the UDP on
Yes.
the 5th of February.
Yes.
How are you going to do this? Don't you feel at this particular point that you are, or in fact, let me ask you this. What are your thoughts and feelings going into this convention, knowing that you need to try and gain the trust of the delegates of Belmopan?
It's not delegates. I want to just make this right. It's not delegates. This is an open convention.
Okay.
Yeah.
Number one. And I have been in the homes, and man, the kind of reception I'm getting, the kind of feeling I'm getting from majority of the homes that I've visited, I feel good about this. Because they're the ones who, at the end of the day, will put their ex beside George Lovell's name and make him the standard bearer for Belmopan. And so I feel very good about this. While you are saying that I was talking more about a general election, these are the issues that these people have. They are concerned that, especially around the periphery, that they don't have water, they don't have electricity, they don't have access road, and they don't even have internet services. Imagine, when we had COVID, no fault of any government or anyone in 2020, we had to abide by the social distancing and all these good sort of protocols that they had. And there were children who couldn't really participate in classrooms activities because it was done virtually. And they sometimes had to, especially in the periphery, go to friends and families' homes to try, and sometimes they're at your gate trying to get a drop so that they could get some work done. I can tell you that these, in my mind, are low-hanging fruits that we can do. How much does it cost for us to have a hotspot? In certain areas, $250 could give you some good internet.
Good internet within particular areas.
Yes, and you could have had these in several areas where you didn't have to lean on any government or anyone. You could have got private sectors, public sector, people who would want to sponsor these things and let them sponsor an area for an entire year. And those children would have been able to cope with the others who are privileged to have these things in their homes. I can tell you that those children who have suffered have lost 2 years that they may never ever recover from. These are some of the low-hanging fruit issues that George Lovell will start to deal with immediately after he gets in office. And this is not a campaign thing for general election. This is real, because if we don't address these issues now, I talk about 2 years gone, we still have another 2 years before general election.
What is it that you want for Belmopan? What we've talked about some of the underlying issues, education, technology, and so forth. But what is it that you want for Belmopan, and how do you plan to get the job done?
April, I want for Belmopan to be the kind of city that we can all be proud of. A real capital city for Belize. No, that's a vision all the way down there. But this can only be had when we have a relationship between standard bearers, area representative, the community, the private sector, the business community, all of us. Because we have to work together to get to that point. It will not be a standard bearer or an area rep or a George Lovell who will miraculously put everything on his shoulder and run with it. It has to be a collective effort. So my vision, as I said, is for us to be that capital city that really represents this country for Belmopan.
So
when you talk about commerce, when you talk about all these sporting activities and things that we need to do on an international level, I want to see all that happening in Belmopan. It may be all the way down the road, maybe a pie in the sky, but at least it's something that we can work towards. We need to have a plan to do that, though, and that plan has to be inclusive. It's not just a plan that will just be a George Lovell put something out there and think that he can run with it in 5 years' time, because it's not going to happen. It might be a long-term plan that we need to have buy-in from the government, the opposition, and everyone else to move forward.
Of course, and I think that's the feel of a lot of politicians, whereby they feel that this is putting a bag on your back and then say, this is what I'm going to do. It must be collective. It has to be with everybody.
Yes.
But I also want to throw out, while it's collective, you actually have the backing of the leader of the opposition at this particular point. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, how do you feel about that?
I feel great about it. And I would have liked to have other leaders within the party follow suit. This has nothing to do with the party leader and myself. It's not a quick pro quo kind of arrangement.
So what is it?
I didn't really ask him to do. He saw, looking at, and there are, I can show you ads that he had presented. He believed, and he rightly believes so, that I am the best choice at this time to change that image for the Belize, for the Belizeans, for Belmopan, and for the United Democratic Party, from us being a corrupt society to that of a society that one can say we have a great deal of integrity.
But where's the trust factor there? And I've got to see this because once the leader of the opposition was actually backing John Saldiva.
Yes.
And then now he's actually switching to you. Aren't you afraid that maybe, hey, I don't think George Lovell will do it. Let me go to Emil. What is the trust factor there?
None at all. He went publicly. If you could look at what the leader did, he went publicly and he said, vote for anyone except John Saldiva. That's the first thing he did. And then he went further to say, okay, the person who at this time is best suited for Belmopan is George Lovell. As a matter of fact, I have some of the tapes here that we can put it out if we so choose, to see exactly what the leader has said. And he didn't mince word. He was not really getting over himself. What he did, he said clearly the reason why he can no longer support a John Saldiva. And he did, and say clearly why he can no longer say that Emil Torres is as equally the person as a George Lovell. He was clear in making those
distinctions and
what have you. And so it is clear. Has nothing to do with George Lovell and the party leader being on the same team. And I admire what he did, and I appeal to all others who believe likewise that George Lovell is the candidate to come publicly and say so, because Belmopan deserves better.
I've got to laud your bravery, and I'm lauding this because you actually are on a record and are on tape saying that the past administration was a failed one, yet you're a part of it.
Yes.
Why do you say this, and what do you mean?
What I meant, and I need to make this quite clear, there are lots of great things that the UDP had done in their 13 years of being in office. In the latter part, they have failed the people. And that's the reason why at the 2020 polls, the people decided that you need to be out. And that's the failure that I talk about. It was the failure. If they had continued to do what they were doing and did not fail the people, they maybe would have had a fourth term in office. They failed the people.
So you are coming in with new ideas and a new way to basically reconstruct a past UDP.
It's not just me.
Right.
I need to have at least 15 others like myself so that we can form the next government. Because it's 31 constituencies. You need to have 16 seats to form the government. That's what I'm hoping. I am hoping that people will look at this, because there will be lots of eyes on Belmopan convention. People who are good people, and there are many of them out there. People who may have thought about it, but had looked at this whole thing and said, this is not the right time. We will have to wait until this settled. We will wait until the UDP get their act together, and then we will join. I want to let people know that you need to come on board to help to get the UDP act together. Because when we get our act together, then probably we don't really need your help again, because we will have our act together. So this is the time for them to come, and I'm hoping that people will look at me and say, okay, yeah, he made it through. I am going to come now and join good people, so that we can have those good people in all these other constituents and have the kinds of people that our people so rightly deserve.
Well, you have persons like Mr. Torres who have taken to the streets already. You know?
So have I. I have taken to the street too.
And so can you tell us, I know you said that you've gotten good responses, but can you tell us more or less how persons are reacting to the the ideas of reconstructing or reforming the United Democratic Party, and what do Belmopan people want out of this convention?
Belmopan people want someone who they can trust, someone who they can work with, someone who will be in this not for self-gain, but for the interests of Belmopan. Yeah. I believe that they have that in a George Lovell. Someone who will be there with them through thick and thin, who will work with them with all the issues that they have, so that we can have a better life for everyone. Not just those not just the citizens and residents of Belmopan, but the visitors, all those commuters that comes into Belmopan. I want for them to come and really enjoy Belmopan as we go forward. I think Belmopan deserves better, and we really, honestly, need to work and getting better for Belmopan.
You know, Colonel George Lovell, one of the things that struck out to me was what you said when you said that, you know what, I'm not in this because of the UDP. I'm in this because we need a strong opposition.
Yes.
And I feel that a lot of people don't understand the role of an opposition. People just see, oh, you get voted out, and then you're supposed to just leave dormant. You know, you're not supposed to do anything, say anything, and just leave it right there. When in reality, the opposition is actually the watchdog so the people could understand, and so the people can actually get gain for their money. It tells me that you're not necessarily a politician, but you're a man who's actually looking forward. You did say, though, that you wouldn't, when you get in there are a few things you'd want to change. Don't you feel that what's going on right now within this country under this administration, there are a few good things going on? And I'm saying this because, for the most part,
there are lots of good things going on.
At this particular point, people don't want to hear, you know what, this is the way UDP want to do that, the way PUP want to do. There are a few. We want to hear that, you know what, these are some good things, and we want for this to be channeled. Yeah. What are your thoughts?
There are lots of good things that are going on. But I believe that there are things, especially as it relates to Belmopan right now, that I am not too happy with. And while there are lots of good things going on, there are lots of not so good things that are causing life not to be the type of life that one would want to see within my community, within Belmopan.
After 2 years after 2 years of being in,
after 2 years of
after how the economy was and how things were and how they found it and whatnot.
The economy is one thing that people complains about, but I guess the government will argue that it's not just in Belize, it's global. You see, and so you will have to look at some of those things. But it's not just that. I can tell you that the issues that I see that after 2 years that the government has been in office that they are not really addressing to my liking is that of making the community stay at the standards that it was, or even getting better. I see my roads, my streets, my bridges. I can tell you that I cycle, and I sometimes push my young son because he's very physical and everything else. We go running along the George Price Boulevard. And my God, they turn in that road into a dump site. And it is the entrance of our city. Beautiful place. You know, I would want to see that place clean and nice, where I can breathe the fresh, nice air that we have up in the hills and all that sort of thing. And it's now being contaminated with all sort of garbage and stuff. It's not nice. So one of the things that I may have to do is, when I get in there as the standard bearer, muster a few people and go and clean it myself. And keep it clean. And put some cameras and stuff in there so that anyone else that does it, and I will get with the government, and we will probably put some regulations for people who are using, who are dumping garbage there.
Which they are.
Penalties and stuff.
500 if you're the litter. If you're the litter, actually.
Put the signs up, put the cameras up, let people understand, and have a few examples as we go forward, so that we can stop these things.
We're wrapping up. We're wrapping up. Let's talk about, because you know, people might be loving your campaign. There are a few people who tell you, not on George Lovell, but there are people who might be loving your campaign.
I haven't had any that say not a George Lovell so far. Maybe they say it behind my back, but I haven't had any.
What would be some of the, if you become the standard bearer on February 5th, what happens first? What's the first thing George Lovell is going to do on February 6th? On
February 6th, the first thing I will do is to thank all those people who, and who have put their confidence in a George Lovell to get him to be there. That's one of the first things I have to do, man. I can't just forget the people. They were the ones who get me there. So I will go out and thank them. The next thing I have to do is to get the leaders together, to start to form these. I want to have a committee, if you will, in all 7 areas. It's very small. I don't want big group of leaders who will look at the issues to work with me. I also want to have a youth branch of it. So because the youth branch, as I explained to you earlier, they are 72.2% of our population. So they have to have a very...
They've got to have a voice, yes.
Not just a voice, but a very prominent voice in all that we do, because they are the future and they are the ones that we have to work with. And so those branches will then meet regularly. I will then hear what exactly are the issues that they want for me to push first. I have ideas, but my ideas are just to stimulate thoughts and to get them working in the right direction. I can tell you that once we get that core together, the work starts. And that work, as I said, will start immediately the Monday after. So remember, first order of business, go out there and say, thank you.
Thank you.
And I mean it when I say thank you. And the next order of business, let us now get together, let us start the work. And we will roll our sleeves up and get our hands dirty. I've already got my feet dirty, going in the muds that is in those areas. I'll have my hands dirty now because I will be doubling in the muds with them, and we'll get the work done. And we will do this because Belmopan deserves better.
George Lovell, Colonel George Lovell, thank you so much for coming in with us this morning. Best of luck on the 5th of February. We'll be watching closely.
And April, I am hoping that I have settled it to you, and that you and all your family and your friends and everybody will know that George Lovell is the best. I am looking forward for people to come out. It's not just delegates, it's an open convention.
For everybody in Belmopan.
For every registered voter in Belmopan.
Yes.
Less those who are known to be PUPs or of a persuasion that is not UDP. If you're known. For example, Oscar Mira obviously will not allowed to vote. Sharon Palacio and her councillors will not. But you can't look at me and say, well, your dad is a PUP, so you are one too. Because
they shouldn't do that.
All my Belmopan voters are independent thinkers, and I expect to have them out there on the 5th. I'm looking forward to you, Belmopan voters, to come out and make Belmopan a proud city, because you will be the vanguard leading, and all those other constituencies will follow when they see that good people can be politicians also, because we deserve better. Belmopan deserves better.
Yeah, well, we hear your campaign slogan now.
The Belmopan deserves better.
Belmopan deserves better.
Thank you,
Colonel
so much.
George Lovell, it was a great time having the conversation with you. We thank you so very much. And of course, we wish you the best of luck.
And with that, we are going to take our second break, and we'll be back with the UNESCO representatives talking all about the proposals coming up in 2023. If you're somebody from the media or interested in media, this is a conversation for you. We'll be right back.